that, and and then we will talk about the tree.
Okay. Okay, this is a Town of Chelmsford proclamation in celebration of Arbor Day, April 25th, 2025. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our home, fuel for our fires, and beautify our community, and whereas trees in our town increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community, and whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal, now therefore, we the Chelmsford Select Board do hereby proclaim April 25th, 2025 as Arbor Day in the town of Chelmsford and urge all its residents to protect our trees and woodlands and to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations and to take part in programs to celebrate Arbor Day. Presented this 25th day of April 2025, signed by the Select Board and the Town Clerk. Congratulations again.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So now I'd like to introduce Lisa Grasso. She's president of the Historical Society, and she has a few words to say.
Just a couple. Because about 250 years ago, on April 19th, several people left this town to go all the way down to Concord and to start the American Revolution. That is in part why I wanted to do this tree planting, to celebrate these families, our town's families, and someplace for us to come to in the future to really take a look at this and just commemorate that time. I want to thank our friends with the Garden Club. I want to thank our friends with the town. Thank you for coming, and let it start. It's about 250 years since the start of the American Revolution.
Very good. Thank you, Lisa. So I just want to talk about the tree, the Princeton elm that's been planted. It is a medium to large deciduous tree that grows to be 60 to 80 feet tall. So you can imagine and it's fast growing. Often called the American elm, it is a Princeton elm. The tree features a vase-shaped, broad, rounded crown. In the spring, it will have small green flowers appear on all of its branches, and leaves will emerge. Eventually, wafer-like samaras replace those flowers. The Princeton elm is a true American elm that is native to Central and Eastern North America. It is highly resistant to Dutch elm disease, which we have taken down more than a share of elms in this town, and tolerates urban conditions well, so it should do well. We're very thankful for it being donated by David, George.
Oh, hey, friend.
Yeah, thank you very much. And we're very grateful to the DPW who also helped us plant it and brought the mulch and is making sure it's doing well, and even watered it today. So now we just do our shovel opportunity to mulch around the base and get some pictures, and then we welcome you to have lemonade and cookies, and there's many cookies, so please take some home. And we also have a poem courtesy of Monica Kent. Thank you very much.
Well, here we all are again, and isn't this nice? We do it every year, and it's a wonderful tradition. And as part of the tradition, Kate gave me 2 poems and offered that I could have my choice. And so since it stopped raining, and the poems are short, you can hear 2. But the first one is one that we have to have. And it happens to be my favorite, and I hope that the teachers are all making the 5th graders memorize it again. This is, of course, Joyce Kilmer's Trees. I think that I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree whose hungry mouth is pressed against the earth's sweet flowing breast, A tree that looks at God all day and lifts her leafy arms to pray. A tree that may in summer wear a nest of robins in her hair, upon whose bosom snow has lain, who intimately lives with rain. Poems are made by fools like me, but only God can make a tree. And Joyce Kilmer was a young man when he wrote that. He was in World War I, and the day after he was killed in battle. And so the second tree, the second poem, will make you all smile. Nature looked across the seas. Excuse me, I didn't tell you. It's The First Tree by Leonore Hetfield. Nature looked across the seas she had newly made. Now, said Nature, life must have a place of cooling shade. All my creatures shall have rest from the sun's high tide. Underneath a leafy bough shall my creatures hide. So out from the deep black earth rose a mighty tree. The hill winds sang a song of welcome. Greetings, roared the sea. When the sun had reached its zenith, in the tree's cool shade, all the creatures lay them down, and they were not afraid. Ever since the tree has flourished, mighty and yet kind, nowhere else can beast or man sweeter solace find. And that's our tree.
Okay, so now we'll just take a shovel and mulch the tree.
Let's mulch the tree.
Thank you. Put the proclamation.
Yep.
I'm all all the time. I like to
Would you like to come and take a shovel?
Pat. Yeah, Pat.
There's plenty there for all.
How about Dave? Just donate it.
The whole barrel, actually.
We'll let Pat get it good. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Shall I?
Thank you.
All right. I'll make it official with a shovel.
Thank you.
I like
We'll get your name on it.
pitchfork might be a little too dangerous.
Yeah.
Cover that underneath there.
Impressive, Dave, impressive.
Right? Technique is where it's at. For you.
Come on, guys. Get a picture of everybody.
Oh, yes.
Hi, Susan.
Are they really? We had one in the backyard.
Shovelers.
Anybody else would like to participate? Support. Thank you.
No, I think it would need a lot, but here, girls. Come on, guys. Come on, we need the guys on. Oh, yes.
All the ladies are up there.
All right.
Nice. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Nice job.
You're not going to put that in real neat.
Yeah, he's yielded. Yeah. I'm not sure. I can't remember. You'd have to hear. But, yeah. Well, that makes me feel better. Yes, I do. Oh, I already. Oh, do you live in your? Oh, nice. Yeah, they before at the end. You can do it again. Oh, yes. I drive by and I always say, hi, Skipper. Got it? Got it. That's good. Yeah, right.
Who is this thing? Oh, I think he's the nice guy.
right, but this would work.
You wonderful poem.
Thank you for picking that.
I want to know the first one.
Hey, God.
My very favorite.
Because I have to have that George Hill.
That is.
I will get
Memorize it.
You're right. Come on. Good. Thank you.
But you know, it doesn't. You're exactly right. It's a nice mount.
Yeah, right. What am I tossing? Where am I tossing? Right in between.
Perfect.
Good. Thank you.
Meredith, come on.
Please. I missed the proclamation.
When you walk, when you drive by.
Yeah, that's true.
Part of it.
Insert location.
Well, that's what they don't
See if anybody else. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. If anybody else would like to throw
Anybody else?
Oh, good. A double. Go for it. Oh, because there's still more to go. Yes. Yeah, I know. It's probably awesome.
That means double check it.
Have all that other activity. I've seen the roots.
Does that make it more difficult?
Hey, there you go. So it works. They avoid sitting in the field close to the every year, I'm like, all right, I'll get it burned out special permission.
Well, we're historical, so we'd be okay. I'm pretty sure we'd say okay.
I think it's interesting.
Yeah, they better get us while we're still here.
And make sure that I define the other. So they can go.
So when those would have been set up years and years and years.
Well, I love watching
Our long tradition of taking each other's pictures
Yes,
for decades, many decades.
I've got a
Yeah.
quick interview. The camera's going to.
Oh,
So, what do you think about this Arbor Day planting today, Fred?
I think it's great, Tom. This is actually a Liberty tree. Lisa didn't mention that, but it's actually the same as the Liberty tree that used to be on Boston Common before the Revolution, and the colonials apparently were playing tricks with the tree, hanging things on the tree like tea bags and things like that. So eventually the royals got tired of that and cut it down.
Really?
But this is the same type of tree that was the Liberty tree in Boston Common. So
When did
I
they
thought that
cut
was
it
a
down?
pretty
Do
neat
you know what
story.
year they cut it down? About?
I imagine it was probably around 1774
Yeah,
or 5, somewhere when they got irritated with the colonials.
And when the revolution started, right, April 19th, 1775, kind of in full, with the shot heard around the world.
And then we booted them out. They boarded their ships and took off.
But then we had a revolution for a number of years, right?
We had a battle. We had a war to fight.
What was it,
right?
about 8 years or something we were
yeah, about
fighting?
that.
And so what, do you know the type of tree again this is, Fred?
It's a Princeton elm.
A Princeton elm.
Yeah, and the nice thing about it, it's not subject to the Dutch elm disease that took out
Really?
all the stately old elms that were all over Chelmsford and every other town.
It's not susceptible to that? That's fantastic.
And I don't know if you were, I'm not sure if you were there, but last year they planted one at Roberts Field,
Oh,
the same
I
type.
guess I wasn't there.
Yeah,
that
they actually
day.
planted a couple of trees that day, but the garden club, so the same crew was there, Paul and Pat and John and the garden club were all present for the planting at Roberts Field last year.
Nice.
So it's a yearly tradition that goes on, but this is our year here,
Wonderful.
where we wanted to celebrate the 250th. That's why we're here today.
Yes, 250th anniversary from April 19th, 1775,
Right.
when the battle started in Lexington and Concord, right, Fred?
Right.
And also Arlington, too, which isn't noted as much, but those are big battles. And all the way
Menotomy.
back to Boston,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, Menotomy was the name of Arlington.
At that
Yeah.
time, yes.
Nobody can remember that.
Well, that's why I say Arlington.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they were fighting the British all the way back to Boston. The Minutemen basically won that. They killed more.
Now, don't forget that after they left Concord, okay, they had turned the corner at Merriam's Corner, where the Merriam house is, and they were being chased. And they took quite a few pot shots there at Merriam's Corner, because there was a hill on the other side from the house, and the colonials were up there on the hill taking shots at them. And so they had the celebrations in Concord last weekend, but the weekend before they had the Merriam family reunion, and we had our luncheon. We got rained out, by the way, for the parade. We got rained out, but we stay at the Major John Buttrick house, and he, as I understand it, was the guy that ordered the first shot heard around the world at the Concord Bridge.
Really?
His house is still there. It's part of the national park.
In what town? What town is that?
In
in?
Concord. It's
Oh,
right.
in
It's actually right near the Concord River
Oh,
as it goes through. So it's on this side of Concord Center and the Colonial Inn and all that. But it's not too far off the river, and it's a beautiful estate. And
nice.
it's part of
still
the
there.
national park. Yeah, the house
Wonderful.
is it's well kept by the National Park Service and everything.
Wonderful.
So we had we provide our own food. We all make reservations ahead, and so we had 2 rooms just packed full of Merriams from all over the country, and some different names because it was through the mother's line of the family.
Yeah, because that's your last name, right, Fred? So it's your family.
It's our family from all over the country. We all evolved from the Merriam, William Merriam, who came over from England, 1600s. And so there's actually a very good book, which I have. So I go back 9 generations before it gets related to anybody else, because there's one male in each generation for all those generations, actually 9 generations. We have a son. He has 1 child who's a boy. He's Chinese American, but he'll have the name Merriam. And he's the last one in my line of 9 generations. So I think going back 7, I think the closest cousin I could have is something like 5th.
Nice. Wonderful, Fred.
So, and what was funny, at the reunion, there was a Merriam there by the name of April, and apparently she never married, but when I was a little kid in Cambridge, my father was at Harvard University, and we lived in student housing, married student housing, and I knew April Merriam because they lived there in that same complex.
Wow.
Yeah. So she showed up at the reunions. I was amazed, because
Were
I
you
had
in
no idea
Concord?
where she was all this time.
On April 19th, there was a big celebration in Concord about
Yes.
Patriots Day.
Yeah.
I was there photographing,
Yeah.
and
Well, they have the celebration the week before, and the town of Concord has a big event. They have speakers, and we have a parade, but that's because it's only part of the route. Okay, when you get into the big Concord celebration, then they have way stations like Dina and Bob were at Hartwell Tavern doing reenacting.
Yeah.
So we're just one small piece of it, but it gives us an opportunity. It gives the town of Concord an opportunity to have a smaller celebration that's not so big, you know.
Yeah.
But Merriam's Corner is very famous, and it too is part of the National Park Service.
wonderful.
And-
That's fantastic.
Just as an aside, the lady one of the docents who for the national park, is a good friend of ours now,
Oh,
and she actually is Carol's vice president on the garden club.
oh, really?
She lives in Tewksbury, not Tingsboro, and so she's become a good friend.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Fred, how about if I'm gonna, we'll get a shot of me with the mulch, okay?
sure.
I don't know if you want to get back of the camera here, but I got it. Well, let me move it back a little bit. Yeah, the camera's on. Okay, and then I'm gonna set a self-timer quickly. Oh, did you get that, Brent?
You're on there.
Oh, I am? I got it?
Yep.